Assalamu alaikum guys, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shabazz Khan. I'm founder for Showbiz Solutions. Along with me, we have two of the finest loveliest guests, Rayshum Kiyani. She is a strategic planner at Eikon 7, and we have Maria Adil. She's a creative director at Eikon 7. Thank you so much, guys, for coming today on the show. It's really an honor to have, the advertisers, the creative directors, and strategic marketers from around the world to have with us.
Thank you for having us, Shabazz.
Yes. Okay, so let's just go with a brief background for Rayshum Kiyani. She is a graduate of NUS Business School. She has entire, this work experience in branding and creative directing. And Maria, she has, almost 7 years of almost a decade of experience, in branding and advertising. They both are gurus in, planning and creating multiple strategies for businesses all around the world. And currently they're present in Pakistan. They're working with one of the renowned marketing agency, which goes by the name Eikon 7. We had guests lately from Eikon 7, Shan Mahmood. His thing is one of the directors of the company. So today we have Maria and Rayshum. Let's hit with first question. Let's just go with a brief background for Maria first, and then we'll continue with Rayshum, and then we'll have our little session about the governance session. So over to you, Maria. Thank you so much.
All right, so a little bit about myself. Is that what you want me to do?
Perfect.
Okay, so I am a creative director at an advertising agency called Eikon 7. Eikon 7 is also in Romania, Bucharest, and in Islamabad. Before advertising, I was studying visual communication and fine art until I realized that I wanted to be in advertising. So I did a little bit of that. And I joined Eikon 7 as an internee photographer. I learned how to use Photoshop there, slowly became a graphic designer, and then over the years, I then became creative director. I think it's been a year and a half now since I've been creative director here. So yeah, that's pretty much fun.
Yeah, that's it. That's from Maria Adil. Over to you, Rayshum. If you could, just give us a little background about yourself and how did you join the creative world?
Sure. So, like you mentioned, I graduated in 2015 from NUS Business School with my BBA honors degree, and since then I've been in the advertising world. I've been working with different agencies in Islamabad for different clients. I worked with Adcom Leo Burnett for a while, and then Ogilvy and Mather for a shorter while, and then Saatchi and Saatchi. So all these agencies worked with telecom companies, so they were big scale clients and therefore big scale agencies. After that, I joined Eikon 7 in 2019, and I joined as a creative strategist, and I've worked here for about to be 3 years now, and I am now currently working as the head of the strategy department.
Okay, great. That's perfect. So much. Okay, so before we started, we kicked off with the session. We ran a regular survey before we call any of the guests at our show, and we had, we got a couple of questions regarding, branding and creative directory and using the power of Adobe or UI UX in bringing the graphics to life, right? So, what are your thoughts in when we create a brand? Either one of you can answer, whoever you think has that specific skill set. When we're trying to create a brand, right, and we're pitching it right in front of the consumer. I mean, any color or any life going with it. How does that impact with the first process whenever he comes to a decision? I mean, any color, does the color brand has any impact while a consumer buys something from you guys, or is it just a general perception between consumer and the brand?
So just to get your question right, are you talking about color psychology in branding? Is that what you're talking about? So I feel like colors is definitely one of the aspects of brand, a visual identity for a brand. So it definitely comes into play. So if we are to build a brand, you need to do, first of all, you need to basically understand what the brand is about. If you don't understand what your brand is, then you can't exactly make a visual identity for your brand. So colors play a huge part in building your brand's identity. So even like you mentioned, like UI, UX, or any other packaging or any social media color palettes that one may use, all of these colors are basically impacted by what the brand is, what the brand persona is, and exactly what that brand represents. So let me give you an example. So like say if it's like a baby brand, a brand that caters to baby, you're more likely to use colors that are pastel, and as opposed to like, you know, like very like hard hitting, like very vibrant colors, because that's what it represents, right? So the reason why you use these is because you kind of want to subliminally like impact like society's minds. And if you were to notice, like most brands like a branding industry, so we do this like color palette research before we brand anything. So we try to get all the colors that are common in a specific industry. So if it's like the business industry or like, you know, so the healthcare industry, we will see which colors are more common. This is because subliminally, like human beings like kind of look at that, those similar color combinations, are able to tell, okay, you know what, this color palette kind of belongs to like a health industry, or this color palette kind of, you know, caters to like say like, you know, products that are made for babies. So
There's a
yeah.
lot of research out there actually on color psychology and which colors stimulate which kind of behavior when it comes to consumers, and that's what often plays into branding. But there's also something that another interesting thing that plays into branding and color choice is industry trends of colors. So, for example, Maria can tell you more, but every year there are trending colors in industries that you will notice subliminally incorporated in any brand out there, right, Maria?
True. No, and also like there's this thing in fashion. I wish they did this in advertising. It's called color forecasting, but it's done like years in advance. So what they do is they look at like different trends, like whatever is going on, like in say like a country, or any like say there's a political movement or anything that's really trending. They'll take those colors and then like, you know, like be able to make colors for the future, or like, you know, colors of say like maybe 2023. So yeah, Risham's right. Like there is a lot of research that goes into this stuff.
Great. I mean, Risham, I think you mentioned about, that every color has its own stimuli, right? I mean, every color depicts its own thoughts and its own process, right? So, tell me something, we have another question regarding the stimuli. That when a consumer looks at the yellow color or looks at the red color, when they're combined, everybody clicks, okay, it's McDonald's, or if it's the red or white color, it's okay. They're like, okay, it's KFC. So does this impact upon any brand, or is it just, where the brand and the trust comes together and the consumer makes a decision? I mean, typically, is it about the color that brings the light, the spark into the consumer's mind, or is it just, just the brands itself?
So, yeah, I would say that the color sort of is the first step. So like when you look at a color or a combination of colors, like you mentioned, when you see red and yellow, you think of McDonald's. When you see red and white, you think of KFC. So colors play the role of sort of like sparking that initial interest, or more importantly, allowing your consumer to understand your brand because it lies in a certain color group that is often industry related. However, color is not enough to build a communication or build a relationship with the consumer. A lot of other factors play in there. So the role of color, I would say that colors are chosen based on stimuli. For example, red color is a color you'll often see when it comes to fast food brands because it's a color that stimulates hunger, and it's a color that stimulates urgency. So in fast food, you want people to come hungry, you want them to eat fast, and then you want them to leave. So leaving room for more people to come in. So red is something that's a color that often appears in that. But for example, you would not see darker colors like black or dark green in fast food, but you would, for example, see them in more fine dining restaurants because there you want the consumer to sort of sit down, relax, enjoy their time, order more food, keep that going. So, so like I said, the color serves to sort of like an initial attraction, but what makes you fall in love with a brand is just so much more than that.
Yeah, so much more than that. Like Rayshum said, I pretty much have the same answer. It does act as a stimuli, like especially in branding, like it's meant to create some sort of an emotional response. Obviously, each color has different sorts of psychology, and even like they say, like, you know, even with animals, like they can't exactly see in color. there are contrasts in color, so that how vibrant a color is, or like how pastel a color is, an animal who sees in black and white will still be able to decipher, get that this may be a warning sign, or like, this may not, because it comes off as pastel. So yes, I completely agree with what Rayshum is saying.
Great, thank you. Guys, I have another question. It's a little bit, I think you two might have to think about it. Everybody who creates a brand, they have different thoughts. Okay, these are the factors that this brand is supposed to have. I mean, when McDonald's was created, when they created the logo, the owner, the co-founder of McDonald's, they had, these are the factors that McDonald's is going to cover, right? Eikon has their own brand factors, right? Okay, this is the factor that Eikon is going to cover, or any company around the globe, they have their own factors. So what do you guys think are the minimum requirement that every brand has to have those factors in it in order to become, in order to, have a strong relationship with with their end customer?
That's actually an interesting question, and that is because the response to that question has been very recently evolved. And the reason for that is that the consumer is now very much, we're in smack in the middle of a digital age. So the consumer now is very different from what the consumer was before. For example, if you cast your mind back to when we were young, advertising had a very conventional model where a big company would once in a year put up an ad on TV, and you would see it there. There would be posters, and that same ad would keep going in different long form, short forms throughout the year, and the communication was very one-sided. So it was rather the brand was speaking at you rather than having a conversation with you. That model doesn't work anymore. Because we're in the digital age, and the consumer has so much choice in front of them, because in their hand there's a phone, and they can reach any part of the World Wide Web with that phone. So that means that your responsibility or your job now as a brand is no longer just to state your purpose. It's no longer just to be, okay, so this is my name, this is my product, this is my service, and this is how you can reach me, or that. That's no longer the case. A brand now needs to have a story, and that's because your consumers now need to connect with you on a personal level. They want to connect with you on a human level, because there's so many choices out there. So what makes you different? What makes you special? And it's not always enough for you to have the best service out there or the best product with the cheapest prices. That's no longer enough. The customer will bring a loyalty to a brand if they feel like their values and the brand's values align with each other, so that they can feel authentic while using your product or service. But at the same time, yes, sorry.
So no, she's completely right. We pretty much have the same kind of thing to say about this. It's kind of like true leaders in branding are like pathfinders, because they are equal, engaging, and more interactive. So it's all about building relationships now. I feel like the era where you show something to someone on TV, and you just even get a celebrity to endorse it, and you show this product, it doesn't really sell anymore. People want to stand by values. People want their something to believe in, and that's why it is very important for a brand to have very strong set of values.
Yes, exactly. And that's why you see the rising tide of influencers now, because influencers are personal brands. These are people who, the people that you see on screens aren't always the people in real life, but they've built a personal brand. And that brand is something that so many people connect with on a personal level. And that's why they follow that person. And that person now has influence over those people. But at the same time, so if you think about it, that's a good thing about the digital branding in the digital age. However, that also has its drawbacks, because as I mentioned, there's so much choice. So loyalty, while you can establish brand loyalty, you can invite that. Brand loyalty tends to be fleeting. It's no longer a case of, okay, so I buy a certain type of detergent and I'm always going to buy that detergent. No, because now I have so much information available to me that I might buy this specific brand of detergent once, twice, but I might change my mind because I have so much information out
But
there.
I also feel that it's also based on values, right? So like there's like I feel like it's also generational. Like from the studies that we have done, like the research that we have done, every time we do a survey, we find a new set of information. So we realize it's also very generational. So like, you know, generation X is more likely to actually stick to what they've done, like, you know, like whatever they've used, regardless of like whether the brand's name has been tarnished, because it's something that they've been doing since a very long time and they're used to it. It's easy for them to use. Our generation, if would, you know, like what Rayshum is mentioning, would consider like changing brands, we would opt for other brands. But whereas Gen Z, if they really believe in a brand, they will go for it unless that brand like completely deviates from what they stand for, and only then they will go to something else. But if they believe in you, they will really believe in you, like they will go for your brand.
Great.
And that has given, sorry, please
Sure,
continue.
sure, Rachel, please.
Oh, I was just about to make a final point, and that was that behavior that Maria just mentioned has given rise to something that had not been previously considered, which is post-sale advertising or marketing, which is basically now that your customer has made that sale, do you just abandon them? No, because that's no longer an option. You have to continue to engage them. So it's no longer a question of engagement, rather it's a question of entanglement. So it's a relationship that has to be two-way, and it has to continue after that customer has made that sale, because that is how brand loyalty is sustained. It's always a cycle that it has to keep going.
It's all about building relationships. Like that's what matters now, and apparently that is the future of advertising now, building relationships.
Exactly true. No, this is how, you know, top brands, they have already established a strong relationship with each of the companies they have. Okay, yeah, there was another funny question. One guy asked us. I mean, it's quite a funny question, and I want you guys to think of it if that happens. Okay, but let's imagine, you know, if in the US, McDonald's, you know, create their own fintech company, right? You guys know what fintech is, right? You know, financial institutions and so. And McDonald's asks for, you know, $1,000 to invest, and you get almost $100,000 at the end of the year. So is this possible for McDonald's or any other brand who has such a strong brand loyalty get into such a new industry which they have never worked in?
Maria, do you want to take this, or should I?
I'm open to anybody questions.
I'll jump in, and then you can jump in if you disagree. So I feel like that would actually not work out for McDonald's, because what you have to understand is that when you build a persona, when you have a sort of a personality as a brand, that's something that you have to keep very consistent, because your audience needs to have that reliability that, okay, so McDonald's is always going to be McDonald's. You have heard of, all of us have heard of brands that rebrand and lose their audience or lose their following, because the new brand is something that was not familiar, was not consistent with the previous brand, and therefore they lost interest. So McDonald's customers have come to expect a certain type of communication, a certain type of simplicity from McDonald's, that they would feel alien if you put the same type of audience into a fintech industry, because it's such a different type of industry and such a different type of audience that is usually there. So if McDonald's were to take that step, in my opinion, they would have to build an audience from scratch. They would have to either put a lot of effort into taking their existing audience and sort of teaching them in a way that they could convert that audience, which would not be easy, or they would have to just build an audience from scratch. What do you think, Maria?
It probably won't work. But like, having thought about it a little bit, I feel like she's right. And I feel like regardless of how much they try, even if someone gave them so much money to do it, it might not work. Because think about it this way, okay? At the end of the day, even if they are making, like, you know, say like a sub brand, or is it just like a whole new business, and if it's under McDonald's, their target audience is completely different. So they need to consider the fact that the people who go to McDonald's to eat a burger are not the same people who go to a fintech industry and avail their services. Like, those are completely different audience types. So even if they wanted to convert their McDonald's audience, they'd barely get anybody. Maybe people who were like, you know, small segment of their actual like audience. So yeah, I don't think it'll work out. There have been examples of some brands that have tried to do this and failed. can't think of anyone right now, but I don't think it'd probably work out.
Consumers are very much creatures of habit. They come to expect something from you and they want that familiarity. And if you don't give that to them, then I'm sure that you're also aware, but there are some brands that have recently in the current climate started to lean towards more of cause marketing. So they talk about different causes that mean something to them, that align with their brands. And even though the causes that they select do line up with their brand values and their own personal values and probably their consumers' needs and values as well. But there is always an initial pushback where they say, okay, oh, wait, we're used to hearing a certain type of message from you. We're used to hearing fun or lighthearted stuff. So why are you suddenly bringing all this like things that are making me have to think? And that is why you can't make these changes abruptly. It's usually it has to be a gradual build. So you sort of have to sort of babysit your audience as you go.
True. I mean,
even in Pakistan, there's like this new rising trend, and even on social media, if you see like there's some tags where it says, proudly made in your own country, like people are more likely to now start buying locally as opposed to buying from international products.
True. Great. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for such insightful sites. Okay, so we are almost to the conclusion, and I would love to ask, every time we have a podcast, I ask generally this one question. Is that, Maria and Rayshum, as you guys are working in a creative agency and you have entire background, your life in working in a creative agency, right? What are those favorite, favorite thoughts or favorite quotes that has always motivated you to, pursue the work that you're pursuing right now, or that you would, or you would advise any new hustler working in a branding agency or a creative agency that you would want them to fulfill? What's that one favorite quote that has always been with you?
You might accuse me of a bit of company loyalty here, but actually the quote that does inspire me is the Eikon 7 tagline, which is mean something. Because speaking as someone who's been in this industry, in the advertising industry for 7 years, creative fatigue is real. Lack of motivation is real, and that is because you're dealing with human beings who are your clients or who are vendors or so many limitations out there. So it's very rare that your creative concept gets to see the light of day just exactly how you envisioned it. And over time, that tends to weigh on a person. So one tends to get to a point where they might think, also, what is this all for? What is the whole point of it? And that is where whenever I find myself thinking that, I tell myself, okay, the point is to mean something. So the point is to tell stories that have an impact. And sure, you might not always get the chance to do that. And yes, Malik, is sometimes the brief or the project does not call for that. But that doesn't mean that in your own small way, in your own subtle way, you cannot make a piece of content or make a campaign or even like an entire strategy that has a meaning to it. And that is the thing that keeps you going.
Great. Yeah. Maria, yours?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that is one aspect of it, that you could actually mean something. Again, like that's our tagline. And I feel like that is one motto that our company actually lives by. And the other thing is, I feel that all brands have like this great sense of responsibility. And for each brand, responsibility is important because brands help liberate the world. Like we're literally like understanding our audience, understanding what they're like, what they respond to, and what to show them in order to encapsulate their mind. And we are trying to show advertising in such a way, at least that's what motivates us in Eikon 7, where our content more or less sort of seems real. I know it's not, it doesn't always work out that way. Like clients what they want, right? So it doesn't always, you can't always make something that you feel is great, or make something that, based on your research you feel that is probably going to work, because some of the work is curated by the clients. But certain times when you do get that liberty, when you can absolutely make something, we always try adding some sort of a meaning into it. Like we try to make sure we're being as honest as we can. This is again one of Eikon's values. And generally, I feel like in today's world, at least like in today's trends, like people from all of the surveys that we've done, people really admire honesty. This is what they want in advertising. They don't want the whole, like bullshit anymore. Like they want real things. They want to show you, they want us to show them real, human interaction. That is why like user generated content is such a huge thing these days. So for me, it would be to understand human psychology. I feel like that excites me. And then cater something that is real, something that is authentic, something that is not made up or fake to them, and see how it can impact them and make their world, or even, just a little moment of their life better. Say like, we have this brand called Krusty. So Rayshum just worked on its branding, and the slogan that the team came up with was "Happiness is a circle." And so we based most of our values around the slogan because we wanted to build a sense of community, and we wanted it to be a brand that basically instills happiness and positivity. So every time one may have a Krusty, hopefully in the future, they will think about the fact that, happiness is a circle. It is about feeling those little moments in life that you need to enjoy. It is about enjoying these moments with your people. So yeah, I guess that's what excites me about advertising.
That's really heart touching from both of you. I mean, really enjoyed.
And,
Yeah.
And the people that we work with, I feel like, yes, the good energy, it really matters. Like the kind of people you work with, their energy and what they want to do, and the ideas, and how, we're all working together for one goal, and not just sitting behind our desks and being curated as to what we should be doing, but actually like taking our time, doing our research, and trying to understand exactly what we're catering to, who we're catering to. That really matters. So yeah.
True. Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you so much, Rayshum, for sharing such, useful insights, for our viewers, for our customers, and, for yours as well. It has been really an honor to have both of you at the show. I mean, I was really looking forward to this for a long time. Thanks to Shayan, thanks to Eikon 7, and thanks to you guys, for coming to our show.
And thanks to you for this initiative. It's a very good idea. I had a chance to go over some of your podcasts in the last week, and I learned a lot. So thank you for doing this. Thank you for using your platform to spread information out there and reaching to people who have questions, and finding people who can give those questions some good answers.
True.
Yeah, great. I mean, thank you so much, guys. I mean, I'm gonna share the drive link with you guys. And Maria, Rayshum, what's the easiest spot for you where the team or where people can reach you easily? I mean, LinkedIn, Instagram.
So you can either tag us on our social medias. Rayshum, do you prefer that, or even Eikon 7 is?
Yeah. Let's do Eikon 7. So basically, you can find us on Instagram at Eikon 7 Group, and LinkedIn is Eikon 7. And you can find us on our website. We have Facebook. You can Eikon 7 Islamabad.
Don't find us on our website yet. We're revamping our website.
Oh yeah, we're working on our website. We're actually, now that you brought it up, but since we're talking about branding, we're actually in the process of rebranding ourselves. But let's not talk about too much. Just keep in touch with our socials, and you'll see something.
Great, perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. I'm gonna share the link, and then we're good to go. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.